Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Andy Audate podcast. Andy is a multi-million-dollar business founder, and I, Lory Audate, I am the co-host. And together, we share our expertise in entrepreneurship, business, mindset, and marketing strategies. How is your week going, Andy?
Just got back to just got back to Las Vegas, so super excited to be back home. And then today I'm working from home, but then I'll be back in the office tomorrow. So the week is going pretty popular, pretty
Where were you
popping.
traveling to that you said you just got back?
I went to go visit family on the East Coast, so I went to go see my mom, my dad, and just to go overall see family. And then today, my first day back, I already did 2 webinars back to back, and then I got one big one tomorrow. So super excited just to be back in the trenches and doing what I do best, which is present.
Got it. How was it for you being away, with business, but also taking family time? What is that like for you as an entrepreneur and owner?
I take usually like years ago, I wasn't doing much traveling or much of anything outside of just working. But today I'm able to take some time off and take some time away and go visit family. And I remember when I pulled out my laptop, I had to blow the dust off of it because it's been so long since I used my laptop. So it was a couple of days of me not using my laptop. So it was cool to just be away and spend quality time with the family and be present with them.
Yes, yes, I hear you. Well, I'm excited for today's podcast because we're actually going to do a little bit of a compare and contrast on a software that we used before, and you definitely had a lot more experience than I did, versus the software that you founded, created, built out, and we currently use in our businesses. And let's get started with, first of all, how did you even discover HubSpot before you had created Progreda and got down that path of creating your own SaaS?
In 2017, I needed, well, in 2016, so let's go a year back. 2016, I was getting contacts, I was getting leads, and I just needed a place to store them. And I didn't know where I would store them. So I searched CRM online and I found HubSpot. And HubSpot was a tool to be able to just keep track of customers' relationships and their name, email, and phone number. And I remember like I might have like uploaded maybe like 15, 16 people at that time, right? Just from random business cards of people that I met. And I just put their name, email, and phone number inside of the CRM. And then from there, I started to just keep track of relationships. And I use HubSpot just as what it's really intended for, really just in keeping track of data, keeping track of the names, the emails, the phone numbers of the contacts. And then any interactions I would have, I would just store them into that CRM. So let's say I meet someone at a networking event. I met a guy named John at this networking event. I would go to John's contact record inside the CRM and I would put in, I met John at this networking event. He said that he's interested in such and such services. Maybe I should follow up later. And that would be it for the most part. And then the biggest use of that platform was really like, for example, a task where I would create a task to remind myself in 2 weeks to follow up with John. And that was the biggest extent of utilizing that tool.
Got it. So it sounds like in 2016 you had a couple of contacts, like not in the thousands or anything. But you wanted to be organized. Is that correct? Like that's kind of the reason you had signed up for HubSpot and stumbled upon it.
Yes, that's correct.
And now that you have built Progreda, right? So Progreda has a lot to it. It's more than a CRM. Like, yes, you can have contacts. Yes, you can upload them. Yes, you can put notes and all of that, but it can actually do a lot more comparing it, to HubSpot or other CRMs. Um, so what do you think is one of the key differences HubSpot versus Progreda with your experience that you've used both essentially? Well, you built one, but then you used HubSpot for many years, if you started back in 2016.
HubSpot is going to be great for you just to track information. Progreda is going to be used for the automation, the communication, to automatically communicate with your contacts. So everything that HubSpot does, Progreda can do, and can do even more on top of it. Now, the HubSpot is much bigger because they've been around since 2005, right? And they have a great inbound marketing system. However, as far as the features, if we go feature for feature, Progreda will completely outweigh HubSpot by a landslide. And because what Progreda's use is for the automation. So, for example, if someone comes to your website and they put in their name, email, and phone number, HubSpot can track that data and say, well, the name and phone number is here, like it's in the HubSpot. But the thing about Progreda is now we can automatically send a text message back. To do the same thing in HubSpot, you're gonna need to connect HubSpot to another software like Progreda, right? So what many people are doing who have HubSpot, they can use Progreda as like what we call the pre-CRM, which is right before the CRM. So when a contact comes in, let's say to text you, they will
Mm-hmm.
text Progreda. You will capture that name, email, phone number, stored in Progreda, and through an integration, simultaneously stored inside of HubSpot. So you can use Progreda technology to automatically send text messages, send emails, and all the activity that takes place inside of Progreda. Let HubSpot know that activity took place inside of Progreda. So Progreda, HubSpot is going to be like your vault, right? Like a storage vault of all the back and forth communication that you've had with your customer. But HubSpot doesn't do the back and forth communication with your customer. It just tracks it. Progreda is the tool that actually does the back and forth communication, all the text messages, all the emails, all the follow-up campaigns, all that when that person opted in into your website, things of that nature. That's going to be held on Progreda. It can tell HubSpot that action took place, but HubSpot's not going to be the one that does it. Progreda is. You're on mute. I can't hear you.
Oh, thank you. I was just gonna say, so with that being said, um, it sounds like Progreda has just a more robust build out that can engage with the customer. They can have the back and forth, whether it's text message, emails, and things of that sort. Well, with that being said, would you say that there's a specific business size that someone has to have to use Progreda effectively, or can it be someone that has X amount of clients, or starting?
Yeah, that's a great question. For someone who's starting their business, utilizing Progreda is essentially going to be creating the foundation, right? So when you're creating the foundation of a business, you're equipping your business to start growing quickly. So when someone starts a business and they don't have Progreda, what they're essentially saying is, I have no intention to really grow my business today. It's more like a hobby, or I'm hustling, when they don't use a technology like Progreda to start it off with. But when you do have that technology, you're making a decision to start to grow your business. Now, for someone who has already a growing business and they have hundreds of customers or a large amount of customer base, it could be thousands, whatever that size is, but they already have a customer base. When they use Progreda, now what they're going to utilize Progreda for is to organize all of the traffic and all of the customers and all of the communication sources. So, for example, one communication source for a customer to the business is going to be Instagram. If your customer today is on Instagram, then why they when they message you on Instagram to your business, you want to have the ability to respond back instantaneously. Lori's my wife, and we were driving by a restaurant one day. And if you remember that restaurant, right? It was like the new restaurant on the block.
Yeah.
And we went to the Instagram. Why did we go to the Instagram? Well, we're millennials, and this is part of our decision making system to make a decision: do we eat there or not? Because we want to see what the photos of the food look like. So we went to the Instagram, and then we sent them a message like, "Hey, what time do you guys close, or can I do a reservation?" And how long was it until they responded back to us?
It was like 3 or 4 weeks. Like, by the time they had replied, I had forgotten one that I sent it, and then we were like, yeah, I mean, I don't know, I wouldn't trust to go in there because their customer service is not on point, you know?
We were in the driveway of the restaurant.
Yeah.
We were in the driveway of the restaurant. We're looking at the restaurant, right? We're looking at the restaurant. And we realized, like, it just so happens to be that that's the way the world is. For us as millennials, we wanted to message them directly on Instagram and expected a response in adequate timing, similar to a text message or It's similar to a text message or a phone call. So that's the world that we live in. So me being a millennial, I'm like, they're not going to respond. Let's go to this other restaurant. And we went to the one right across the street. Okay. And I share that with you is because that's how your customers are making their decisions as well. If you don't have, if your answer is like, well, my customers aren't making that decision through Instagram, well, that's because they already left and didn't buy from you, and you never got a chance to meet them. Similar to that restaurant never getting a chance to meet me. I don't think we responded. Like, they responded to us 3 or 4 weeks later. Lori sent me a screenshot and she said, "Yeah, this is now when they're responding." I'm like, "Man, it's been a
Yeah.
month," and we just never responded back, and we kept them pushing and moving forward. But we would
Yeah.
have gone in there and spent a few $100s with them, right? And then if we loved the food, we would have gone there, again and
Posted.
again and again, or posted. Yeah.
Yeah. That is true. I think the ability to have the back and forth with the customer is key. And I mean, that's something that we share with our team as well. Like, people are not going to be waiting business days or weeks for a reply. Like, that's just not how it works for good customer experience. And with that being said, so it sounds like the ability to have the text message back and forth, instant response when you connect Progreda with social media, and you can do workflows and a lot more things than HubSpot. But in regards to user experience, how would you compare a user experience for someone on Progreda versus user experience on a HubSpot platform?
HubSpot has the thing about HubSpot, and I'm very familiar with HubSpot because I started using it in 2016. The user experience, like, you're constantly needing to be upsold and upgraded. So, for example, if you want to do certain marketing campaigns, you have to upgrade to HubSpot Marketing Hub, and now you got to pay per contact in there, so you're limited. Or you just got to keep on paying more. So what we've seen is that there are customers who have transitioned from HubSpot to Progreda, that they had limited features, and on top of those limited features, they were paying anywhere between $3,000 to $5,000 a month to utilize those limited features, and those features were unlimited inside of Progreda. So the user experience, you're going to end up spending a lot more for less features. So, for example, if you want to send out text messages inside of Progreda, that is native. Inside of HubSpot, you're going to need to connect a third-party company like Progreda to send out text messages in the first place anyway. So, which is why, like I share, like, if you're at the beginning of HubSpot, if you're at that stage of where you're looking to make a decision, do I go with HubSpot or do I go with Progreda? The decision you want to make is start with Progreda, because every feature for feature that HubSpot has, Progreda has, plus more, right? HubSpot is limited. Progreda has a lot more features in general, such as data tracking, sales pipeline tracking, the automations. So when I move a automation in a pipeline, so let's say, for example, someone who is a new lead inside of Progreda, when I move them to interested in services, I can automatically, by moving their stage in the pipeline, I can automatically send text messages and emails and follow up to that contact. HubSpot unfortunately can't do that natively. You're going to need to work with a marketing agency or a HubSpot engineer to add additional softwares to have that same effect. And you're going to be spending a couple $1,000s just to be able to do that in the first place.
Yes, and if I remember correctly, adding more users, like as your team grows, it costs more on HubSpot, right? Like, if you need to have 5 people, 10 people, 25 or 35, does that also cost more?
Yeah, 100%. It reminds me of, like, the idea of, like, paying per mile, right? Like,
Or
when
when
you
we
when
had
you when you rent a
pay for
car,
minutes in those cell
or
phones back in the
pay for
day.
minutes, right? So, like, I'm coming to you today and I'm saying, hey, you can use this phone, right? You can use this phone here, and you can pay unlimited minutes, unlimited usage, or you can pay with this phone and you pay per the minute. Now, this phone has been around since 2005. This phone has been around for the last 7 years. Which one would you wanna use? And then it's like they both do very much similar things. Actually, one does a lot more, but they both do similar things for the most part. However, do you want to pay per minute? They happen to be bigger, so they have more money to spend on marketing to convince you to pay per minute. So that's what typically happens with a company like HubSpot. However, with Progreda, we're on the cutting edge. We're the new ones in town. We have our technology is being used by less than 600,000 businesses today. So now we're the young guys out of 300 million businesses. We're the small guy on the block, so we're priced accordingly to support you. However, as far as support longevity, we go neck for neck.
Well, how does it actually compare then on the pricing model? So how does Progreda compare in regards to HubSpot? It sounds like HubSpot does have a lot of add-ons. Like you said, they've been around for a long time. They do have the like a lot of videos and things of that sort, but it sounds like you also pay for all those extra resources, extra features, extra things. So how does Progreda's pricing model compare to HubSpot?
Well, we are considered like to be a disruptor, and in the cell phone industry, and before getting into digital marketing technology, I spent time in the cell phone industry, and I'm the youngest T-Mobile franchise dealer. So when I was in my youth, I ran cell phone stores, and I know that industry very well. They had the per minute plan, right? That was the norm for so long, where you would pay per minute. And then someone came out, a specific company came out that I was actually a part of in 2012, and they came out and they said unlimited usage, one flat fee, and they completely disrupted the industry. And over the last 12 years, 12 13 years, people have adopted that same model. So right now, HubSpot is still on archaic pricing. Today, we are the disruptors who are pricing accordingly, where we're giving you unlimited usage and unlimited users inside of our platform without you having to spend a penny more.
Right, right. So what are the plans start at for like Progreda and like let's say a business owner that has a beauty salon or a place with facials, like anything that needs, booking and all of that, like client booking, calls, sales calls and all of that. And they have a team of five. There's a two social media people, two salespeople, and then the business owner that oversees it. How much would that cost to get onto Progreda, get organized, have marketing campaigns, workflows, business phone number, like all of that good stuff, calendar links? How much would that cost on Progreda's side?
Calendar, fun. So I'll share with you, for example, we're talking about having a web chat, reputation management with Google reviews, being able to track your Google reviews, Facebook Messenger, Google My Business call tracking when someone calls you on Google, that you can track the calls, missed call text back. Like if someone calls your business and you don't pick up, the software can automatically text back that person and capture their name, email, phone number. Text to pay, where you send a text message to that person to have them making it pay your invoice. A calendar, the CRM, send invoices, automation workflows, websites, funnels, email marketing, forms, membership sites, opportunities board to track sales opportunities, have communities, SMS and email templates, all for $399 a month.
That's it. Like I feel
Yeah.
like, hold on, there's got to be a catch. Like, is there a catch?
There's no catch. There's no catch. All unlimited for $399 a month. Where we came in to disrupt, and we made that intention. And we have such a big team that is there to support you, to add value to your business, and to give you all the resources to help you grow and scale your business. Rather than nickel and dime you, we want to see your business grow and succeed.
Yes, and I do remember when we had the conversations before Progretta was created, we were encountering some pain points. Like we had to log into different softwares, different platforms. We had a whole situation with like getting content on a lot of different platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. So it required a big team, back in, I think it was 2021 or
Mm-hmm.
so. And we wrote down like what would we want as a business owner that had a team of like 35 people. We had a lot of movement in our business, client facing movement, marketing movement, content creation movement. And we wrote down on a napkin like what we wanted, right? And then come to fruition is Progretta, because we were in that seat of being in a painful situation where you had to have HubSpot, and then you had to have Asana, and you had to have Calendly, and you had to do this other thing. Like there was so many connections that had to happen that made it kind of slowed us down a little bit. So just want to tap into that. What did it feel like once you had seen it in a napkin, everything that you wanted, and then Progreda actually had it? Like, what were your thoughts on that?
I think the biggest exciting thing for me was there is the ability for small businesses to have one tool to support them in the growth of their business, rather than going from tool to tool, this tool to that tool. Because I come from that world of, after running the cell phone business, we started running a marketing agency. We started to identify that small businesses needed the ability to send out text messages, needed the ability to send out emails, and customers are going to come to you in so many different platforms. Somebody's going to search you online and find your Facebook account. They're going to message you directly on Facebook. But then some other people are going to find you on Google, right? They're going to search your business on Google. They're going to find you on Google and call your business from Google. And then some other people are going to find you on Instagram and send a message directly on Instagram. Now, today, the way that most businesses are doing that is that they go on their phone, they go to their Google app, right? And they start messaging on their Google app. Then they go to Instagram app, and then they go start messaging on their Instagram app. Then they go to the Instagram app, then they go to the Facebook Messenger app, and they start messaging on Facebook. And then customers want to send them text messages, so they go to their text message app and start messaging on text message. And then it becomes so overwhelming when it's like, hey, you can actually just have one platform to track the relationship with all of those customers in one place. And then now, instead of you having to remember to double check Instagram for any inbound messages on Instagram, double check Facebook for any inbound messages on Facebook, double check this platform and that platform, you just have one app on your phone that allows you to communicate with your customers. And it just makes it tremendously easier for your customers to get in touch with you. And for example, the restaurant that you and I were looking at, if they had Progreda technology, they would have instantly received an alert, not on Instagram, they would have received an alert on their Progreda app on their cell phone, and it would have said, hey, new message from Instagram, please respond here. And then that person could have responded, and I would have received it on Instagram, but they would have messaged me from the Progreda app on their phone. Now, if another person messaged that same business on text message, that business would have seen it on their Progreda app. So they're not hopping from app to app. They're using one app to be able to track the relationship with all their customers, and it just makes it tremendously easier just to have one platform to respond to rather than multiple platforms. That's number one. Number two is, with Progreda, you can automate communication. So, for example, if there's a frequently asked question like, "Hey, are you open?" We can tell the software between 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. we are open. If anyone ever asked us, "Are we open?" and the current time is anywhere between 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., then the response back is going to be, yes, we are open. Do you want to book a reservation? Do you want to book an appointment? Or, yes, we are open. Come on in. Things of that nature to automatically grow your relationship and build a relationship with your customers. So, for example, in that scenario, if that restaurant had our system and their automation responded by, yes, we're open, here's a link to book a reservation, we could have clicked that link, booked that reservation, and walked into that restaurant right then and there and spent a few $100s with them. But instead but it's not about the few $100s. It's about the experience with all the other customers.
The first
Because
experience, yeah.
if 50 people did that in that week, if 50 people said, you know what, never mind, and they were all going to spend on average $200 at that restaurant, that company just lost $10,000 in that 1 week just by not having the system.
Right. Yes, I agree. It really is not just about, oh, did someone reply fast enough? Are you able to scale? Are you able to launch your marketing campaigns easily? And are you able to grow your revenue? So putting the right procedures in place. I'm more on the operations side of our business. And what I've noticed just in the last 2 months, I've had a virtual assistant join the marketing side of our company, and we had an intern join. We were very lucky for a local college. We got an intern for 4 weeks, and I had to develop a quick onboarding process for an intern. That didn't exist, right? We don't usually bring people on for 4 weeks. That's unheard of. But because we had Progreda, super easy. By day 2, all I had to do was point her into some okay, here's what you're going to click on Progreda. Here's what your social medias are right here. This is how you reply. It was just really easy. And now I have the marketing assistant, virtual assistant. She's doing email campaigns, newsletters, all these things that I don't have to teach all of the team members different softwares. To
Exactly.
me, that's been super easy because we're using the same thing across the board, you know? So it's not like I have to teach her this software and another software. And things that sometimes I was actually traveling when the intern came into our company. Another team member was able to teach her as well. So it's not just in my head. It's like, no, this is what we've been using for several years. So for
And
me,
it's one
that
software.
one software, yeah, like I'm talking about one login. Like that's what makes it really easy to get the content out and get someone onboarded. So I think for anybody that's in a similar position like me, operations, you're the one in charge of new team members. You're the one, teaching team members how to do marketing, how to do content. It's a game changer. You have that peace of mind that you can also check their work. You can see how many emails they're sending. You can check how much text messages how many posts they have created. So for an operations manager or even a team manager, it is super easy to manage it. You just
It's
log
gonna
in
help you
one
streamline.
place. Yeah, you log in and you can see all their productivity. So I love that part of it. Well, I'm glad we were able to share the value of Progreda. If someone has HubSpot, as we've learned, they can add it on top of HubSpot or they can start with Progreda. There's no right or wrong. I think it just comes down to what the budget is and also how much they want to do with the softwares because Progreda has it all to be able to launch everything for one price and you can have multiple team members. Is there anything else you'd like to add for the podcast today, Andy?
Yeah, I mean, look, if you're in the stage right now where you're considering HubSpot versus Progreda, just know this. So if you are at a stage of starting your business, right, or you're at the beginning of organizing your business, everything that HubSpot does, Progreda does plus more. Okay, that's number one. So my invitation is for you to do a trial of Progreda and try Progreda to get started in Progreda, and then streamline your business utilizing Progreda. Now, number two, if you are currently utilizing HubSpot and you have a lot of information tied in HubSpot, you can use Progreda as a pre-CRM where all your contacts, all your relationships starts inside of Progreda, and all the content is duplicated into HubSpot, just to have essentially two places to track your customer interaction and your customer experiences. Now, the automations that I share with you to do, like for example, like Instagram, Facebook, Google My Business, all in one inbox, HubSpot doesn't have that technology today, right? And I don't know if they ever will. However, Progreda already has that technology today. So what you can do is use Progreda to manage all those relationships, manage all those conversations in one platform, and then through an integration that we have with our onboarding team, that you can utilize our onboarding team, which will support you. You can actually integrate the two, HubSpot and Progreda, so that way everything that happens in HubSpot will also we will let HubSpot know inside of your HubSpot account, and all that information will essentially all the content will be duplicated inside of your HubSpot account. Okay, so if you are just starting out and you're like, do I go with HubSpot? Do I go with Progreda? Of course, choose Progreda. Choose a platform that makes it much easier for you to start the relationships and organize and get paid and so on and so forth with your customers. If you're at a stage today where you currently have HubSpot and you're considering Progreda, you can start off by using Progreda as your pre-CRM, have all your automations take place, and then we can, through an integration, connect the two where everything that happens inside of Progreda, we will let HubSpot know, and then it will be duplicated inside. All the notes, all the contacts, all the calls can go right inside your HubSpot as a record.
That's amazing. Yeah. So if you're already using it or still want to continue both, you can and then get a feel for it. I always say the trial is the best way to get a feel for the functions of Progreda. Well, I'm glad we got to discuss this and we look forward to the next podcast where we'll dive deep into more marketing tools and strategies. Have a great rest of your week.
Thank you, everyone.